Alrighty, guys. Hello and welcome. My name's Swire Guitars. This is going to be a comprehensive Broodmother mid guide for the current patch 7.06, I believe E. I was inspired by a comment on my YouTube video, the one that I most recently posted that was pretty controversial, I suppose, to make this guide. Somebody was asking me for kind of a brood mid guide. I mean, the entire video was framed around the idea that I went mid and somebody flamed me for my pick, which often does happen. I often go mid in my rank games. People often flame me for it. And then I go on a fucking rampage, and then the person that flames me for it has to shut the fuck up. And so yeah, somebody on the comment section of last video was like, hey, can you make a guide on this? Because I understand not a whole lot of people watch my stream. I often don't even really stream my games anymore. And then also just in general, brood mid is something that I've often proclaimed to be very powerful. And hopefully this kind of Dota buff look at from the last 3 months kind of demonstrates that this is ranked solo queue matchmaking. Admittedly, it's anywhere between the like very high 4K bracket because I sometimes get like 4.9K average games when I queue for like 4 in the morning on US East and US West. This is anywhere from that to around the upper 5K to low 6K bracket. I'll go brood mid pretty much any time, any place, anywhere, whatever. Like there's nothing that'll stop me from going brood mid other than my teammates telling me not to go mid brood. And it has to be a pretty resounding difference in MMR for me to even really take their word for it. Not because, like I said, not because I don't think broodmid is good, but just because I am, I'm not a hypocrite. If somebody tells me, hey, I'm higher MMR than you and I don't want you to go mid, I'm not going to take it from them. That's totally fair. But when I'm like, 1,000 above the average and some guy on my team is like, they show their solo MMR profile because they're bragging about it. They're like low 5K and they're like, dude, don't go brood mid, I'm gonna take mid. And then I'm gonna go on like a 9-0 kill spree and we're gonna win the game. Anyways, yeah, this is the last 3 months, like I said. It shouldn't really matter, but I'll show you guys anyways. Last 6 months. The reason I was showing my last 3 months was just because this is somewhat of a new style that I've adopted across the last 3 months. So showing the win rate being 66% makes me kind of feel good as well. But the last 6 months, again, solo ranked matchmaking, the last 12 months over a year, has been just overall, a 60% win rate. Set of all time since I've started playing Brood, I have a 50, I guess it says 59% just because I still include solo ranked matchmaking. But just in general, my Broodmother is something that has changed very drastically across the last 7 months. Basically, ever since 7.0 has dropped, and even somewhat into 6.88. That's why I say like 7 to 8 months. Like the very latter half of 6.88, I have been playing Broodmother and like really fine tuning my Brood to the point where when I started playing her way back then, like when I picked her back up, because she was the first hero that I ever played in any Dota game ever, and we could actually demonstrate that if I look right here. Not that this is really relevant to the guide, and I do apologize, but some people enjoy seeing this kind of thing, like, why are Brood's your love? So, how long you been playing her? She was the first ever game of Dota that I've ever played in some unknown skill bracket. Um, yeah, we lost that game, and I guess I didn't have any items when I ended the game. But anyways, yeah. So um, she was my first love, but I did recently, being the last 7 to 8 months, kind of revamp my playstyle on Brood. Ever since really I stopped spamming Earth Spirit, I transitioned back into Brood, and this is kind of where I'm left with is like a mediocre-ish win rate for a hero that you spam. Usually, if you spam a hero, like you want that stuff to be like 60, 70%. I only have a 56% win rate, but again, that's kind of bled it from my old style of playing Brood, which really like I started with the 300 games when I picked her back up at the start, like with a 50% win rate, or even sub 50%. I think I had a 49% win rate, dude. That was really embarrassing. But we brought it back up just in the last 6 months of spamming her nonstop and really learning the hero. Back up to a 56% win rate, and it's still rising, like I showed you of just this patch. Like I'm at 66%. So that's kind of my credentials. Again, my solo MMR, I wear it on my sleeve, whether I want to or not. It's 5,700 right now. I some of you may know from my very long patch analysis of 7.0, like 5 hours, that I made a very small call out, and somebody Twitch clipped it, that I promised I'd hit 6K by the end of this year or donate $100 to a children's charity. If I do hit 6K, I'll donate $50 because there's no reason children should suffer. They'll just suffer a little bit more if I hit my MMR goals, lol. But yeah, I'll donate $50 if I hit 6K. I do plan on hitting 6K, and it will be with Broodmother. You have my word. So, with all that out of the way, this is my Brood mid guide. First replay I want to look at before we really even talk about like item builds or when to pick her or whatever. I just want to say this is kind of what happens on a regular basis, this is kind of like the worst case scenario, and unfortunately, it does happen a lot. You know, you'll go mid, and the enemy will be this guy's name when I loaded in the game was like mid or I feed, so he's a really good mid player. You know, he only plays mid or he feeds, so he's got a lot of practice mid. He's an Invoker player. God, I really hate Invokers because they're just like the hero is just a high skill cap. You know, like Invoker in general is a very overpowered hero. I think he's probably the most broken hero in the game, right next to Elder Titan and Visage. But he's definitely top dog. He has so many ways in which he can outplay you just as a hero. Invoker, like I said, like he's probably the best hero in the game. But even more so than that, I just hate like he's such a good hero, you know. And oh wait, what happened? What the fuck? Did he abandon? Let's go back. Just one sec. What? Yeah, those are his items on the ground. I don't start no talisman. Is this his self? He just dropped these items on the ground. What the fuck? Alright, gotcha. Hell, that hero fucking sucks. Invoker's terrible and you beat him hardcore. So, one of the things that I'll talk about with Brood Mid, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the actual guy, that was just a joke. I'm sorry, I pranked you. Haha, gotcha. It's just a prank, bro. Is Brood Mid, I pick it because it's so freaking good against like every hero that goes mid. It's not something that you pick and like people should look at and be like, oh man, you're gonna lose the landing phase and feed him so many spiders. No, if you're at all nervous about a Brood Mid pick, you should be concerned with how it scales into the late game if you guys aren't able to end in like the first 30 minutes, because Brood has no problem ever in the laning phase. I don't know what stigma has come over people thinking like you're gonna feed spiders. If it's really gotten to the point where people are concerned that Brood is gonna feed spiders to mid invokers, then you're either playing with incredibly terrible Brood mothers or you just don't know the hero and should not speak about her. Okay, I'm sorry. I know I always like get people saying like you're such a dick, you can't say things like that. Like I'm just speaking the truth, man. If you think Brood is such a bad hero that she loses lane to Invoker and feeds spiders against a Quas Exort Invoker, you are just dead wrong. And hopefully this guide can also serve as like a dual, like a double whammy. Like I'll teach you how to play Brood Mid, and then I'll also teach you, you know, not to sound stupid in front of Brood Mother players. Okay, holy crap, that's annoying. So, anyways, I want to look at specifically 3 replays. And then maybe just kind of like talk about her generally for a bit, as I typically do with my guides. I try to find some replays, but mostly just talk about her in a general sense. This first one, it's kind of weird, admittedly. I couldn't find too many other good, like, viable replays that show this playstyle off really well that are recent, because Valve's got stupid replay system that, like, you know, any replay older than like a month they kick. Yeah, this is kind of a poor replay just because the Clinkz abandons. Maybe it's a good replay because you'll see this Clinkz abandons at like the 20-minute mark, and we're gone without him for like 7 or 8 minutes, or maybe even 10. And so we have to play the game 4v5 for a while. So maybe you can look at this and be like, oh man, more demonstration of how good Brood Mid is or whatever. I'm just saying it's weird because it's not a traditional game of Dota. But nonetheless, it is a Brood Mid replay, and it's against an Invoker. He didn't abandon, thankfully, because that would just be crazy. But that does happen a fair amount of time. So if you're really so disgusting that you want to pick heroes just to see your enemies abandon, Brood's a pretty good example of a hero to pick, especially against Invokers. I can only imagine what's going on through that Invoker's mind when you come mid and you drop your first web. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about starting item builds. So it's first and foremost F Tortellini. Nothing against you, dude, but like I hate that all the build guides have been getting recently deleted, and I have to like pick your guides and or your build guides. It's stupid. If anybody else knows what I'm talking about and can tell me how to solve this problem, please do. But like every 2 days in Dota, when they make a small patch update, it deletes my entire item build, and I can't be bothered to just like every 2 days just scroll through all the items and drag them over. So I just pick his guide and just modify it a little bit. But this is not a perfect complete item build, like I said, because of that reason that I just mentioned. But basically, just from the starting items alone, let's start there. I pretty much do the typical offlane build, still starting 2 sentries. I do a Quelling Blade as opposed to saving my gold, and I ask for pool tankos. So the logic here is I don't think Brood needs a Stout Shield, although there have been times where I've been like, man, I'm just getting hit a lot. You typically, your sentries are your Stout Shield, okay? If you can't win the sentry war and you're getting right-clicked a bunch because the enemy can see you, then you've probably screwed something up with sentries, okay? Brood fights for vision control as her defense. She doesn't fight for right clicks, unless you're playing against a Legion Commander or an Axe, in which case unless you are right-click trading with them because you have mischance and stuff. But when you have spiders and you're leveling spiders, you don't have like she has pretty good base armor. It's not really even that good. It's like 2, and then I think it's like 3 at level 2. But you're not really trying to get right click too much because the enemy shouldn't see you and they shouldn't be able to right click you too often. So like I said, I start 2 sentries for that reason. Quelling Blade, just because you are in a last hit war, you're not in offlane where all you're really trying to do is get EXP and make spiders and stuff. You're actually going to be last hitting with your hero for enough time that it matters. Quelling Blade is just a nice item just in general, but it's kind of hard to afford in the offlane. But I do that. As for the tool pool tangos, go for Mango. You do need to use the courier a fair amount with Brood mid. That is kind of one aspect of it. I'm not going to say it's a downside because a lot of mid laners use the courier a lot with their bottle crowing, getting boots, etc. so forth. Brood doesn't need to get boots, at least not that early. I don't get it sometimes until like minute 15. But you do need to use it for the Soul Ring. You need to use it for Medallion. Sometimes I ferry out Medallion in its components. So like I'll get the Blightstone first because it helps your farm and your last hitting power. And I'll get Clarities and Sentries as needed. So just bear that in mind, and just factor that in. If I don't do it this game or in any of the replays that we look at, keep that in mind because it's very important that you win that Vision War, and ferrying Sentries out as needed is important to that because as you'll see, supports like to rotate on Brood mid for some reason, and they'll place all the sentries in the world, so you got to beat them to it. Typically, because I do play Brood mid as a core, I don't play her as some sentry buying support, I don't like to buy too many. I want to get really good at my ability to play a sentry down and snipe like 3 sentries with it before I get my sentry sniped. You need to get good at playing around the sentry game. And I mean, I can help you out and talk about it a little bit, but at the end of the day, this is just something that I think mechanically you need to learn over time, is when a hero's walking around and they know you have a sentry placed, they're probably going to place a sentry, so stand near them and kind of wait and anticipate for it. Try to beat them to the punch. Make sure your sentries are getting maximum value, like you're sniping at least 2 sentries per sentry, right? 1 for when you place the sentry down and snipe it immediately and they don't expect it, and then 2 for when they place another one down, expect it and snipe yours, but you have the lingering vision of yours to snipe theirs. And you need to work on doing that, like I said, with every sentry, because it's very important that you're winning the Vision War. In terms of webs, I do not like to place my web mid at the start. Sorry, for the longest time I was doing that, and I was always wondering why they were swapping lanes at the start. It sucks, but as it currently stands in the solo queue meta, people just like walk mid at the start of the game and place wards on the ground all the time. They TP, they smoke, and all that bullcrap. I like to place my web mid when I walk to the lane, and I just deal with the cooldown because the first time the creeps meet is going to be around the mid anyways, assuming you're getting a decent block off after you get the bounty rune. I want them to be as surprised as possible by Brood mid. If they can't anticipate it based off our lanes, then it's all the better, right? If they look at this lineup and they're like, oh, maybe it's Kunkka and Brood's off lane and I don't know, Klinks and Void or something as jungle and they're raging, that's good. I want them to underestimate our team. I don't want them to think for a second that it's Brood mid. That makes their supports have to buy shitty items. It baits their supports rather into not buying sentries at the start, and then they have to wait, and then they have to do this, and then they have to do that. I just don't like to give my enemies any chance to anticipate my actions. I always like to play, I hate to say it, but like Yajirobe from DC, you know, like I'm 2 steps ahead of my opponents always, you know, or whatever. Hard work, dedication, and defensive laning. I do not want my opponents to anticipate my decisions, and so I'll take that small burden of waiting for a cooldown if the lane pushes in either direction. I'll take that small burden any day of being off my webs for like 20 seconds rather than place my web mid and have a web already there, only for the enemy to see that and be like, it's Brood mid by sentries. So I do not place my first web until the lane meets. Block your creeps, like I said, after the bounty rune spawns, just because you do kind of want it. I mean, you're a melee hero, so you're going to be last hitting against a hero that has all the advantages. Sorry, let me correct that. You're a melee hero with a Quelling Blade and no Stout. So you are going to be taking some right clicks at the start, and there's really not a whole lot you can do about it. Furthermore, like I said, you've got pretty shit base damage. You start with like 47 base damage on Brood. That's probably the lowest out of any mid hero that's melee that I can think of. Like, Batrider's got really low base damage, but he's a ranged hero, and also he has his Napalm and crap like that to make up for it. Brood is a shitty last hitting hero at level 1. At level 2 it's good, because then you have spiders and they can help you out. But at level 1 it's shit. So Quelling Blade and get it as best of a blocky as you can. And control the runes. We will look at a replay where not controlling the runes literally Fs me so hard in the mid lane. Control the runes. It is so easy to control runes with Brood, okay? The only thing that should ever stop you is you not doing your due diligence and policing them like you should. basically just being lazy. It's as easy as just sending one spider over there to auto attack it when it spawns. The enemy mid laner should always feel pressured when you're brood mid because you're controlling the runes, you're controlling them, you're controlling their lane, you're controlling their denies, you're controlling their camps. I said cramps, sorry. You're controlling their camps, specifically their ancients, but you have no problem farming hard camps as well if it means effing them over that much more. You should be winning every aspect of this mid lane. It should never ever be a question. When somebody looks at your mid lane, they're on their team or your team, they should be saying, ah, fuck, it's brood mid, she's winning against my mid opponent. Or, nice, we have a brood mid, she's winning against their mid opponent, or, respectively, based off of what team they're on. We'll see here, I go for a little kill. This guy is a Quas Wex Invoker, which is a very, it's understandable because I'm brood mid, but it's very unorthodox typically. I think he did it because he recognized that I'm brood mid. They are walking mid now. You just saw how I got that kill. It's really, I could go back and look over it, but really it's nothing more than just getting a simple rotation. Kunkka doesn't have to do too much, and just going in on him with your spiders. Don't ever complicate brood mid more than it needs to be if the matchup is easy enough, right? In this case, it's not super clear cut and dry. He has Tornado, which is a zero cast point ability that fucks your spiders free pathing up a little bit and nukes them. So there's some there's some finesse and nuance to it. But for the most part, it's just his nukes are down, or I have a sentry so I can kill him when he's in Viz. I'm gonna go kill him while he's in Viz, or I'm gonna go kill him while his nukes are down. And we'll look at another replay to show you really the kind of the finesse to that against a Queen of Pain who you might not have thought could be killed as a broodmother. But yeah, it kind of really is just that easy. I want to really kind of almost speed ahead to like the meat and potatoes of this of what makes brood mid super good, and that's ancient farming. We'll see that in a bit, but for now we're just gonna look at this just because I do get a kill on him again. Medallion, like I said, fly it out as soon as possible. In this case I got it at 5 minutes. We'll check out the GPM just because I know a lot of people are curious, like, oh, I see him nuking some of your spiders, he must be doing pretty well against you as well. No, I'm like almost not almost tripling, but I'm more than doubling his GPM. EXP is just as much. I'm getting a lot of tower damage in, and their supports have to rotate a lot. And this is very common, for the record. Do not expect brood mid. Sorry, I framed that sentence poorly. Expect brood mid to win. It is very uncommon if a brood mid is losing her lane, and there's probably reasons that extend outside of the matchup. In this case, you're going to see me do a pretty absurd dive here, but we're going to do it. I brought my own dust because he's an Invoker, and I'm literally diving his tier 3 towers at 6 minutes in. Now, pause. We just saw 2 rotations. Silencer showed, and they just had another teleportation. I'm going to die here. There's no way that I live here at all. I have no mana for webs. I can't go this way. I'm in between two, like a rock and a hard place here. I can't run up, like I said. They have vision of me over here. Even if they don't, it's not hard for them to see me. So I'm going to go this way. I'm going to die. I'm even going to feed a few spiders. I'm okay with this death, okay? 100%. This is a side tangent because this is very atypical for brood mid. You don't typically make crazy dives like this. I did it because I feel like I know the strengths of this hero. But that being said, I'm okay with this dive. And why am I okay with this dive? There's a few reasons. 1, I got the tower. 2, I killed him and he did not kill me in return whatsoever. His support's killing me. So the gold that came from that went on their supports, not their core. And you can see, I mean, yeah, sure, it went on their supports, but it didn't even really go on their supports because, like, look at how poor these guys are because they have to buy dust and sentries and they have to buy TPs and TP around 6 minutes in just to salvage a gank. Furthermore, outside of all of that, I'm just creating space on the map, right? It's kind of like offline brood in this case, except I'm killing their mid instead of their safe laner. And drawing their attention away from their supports. This is a death that I'm okay with, and I would do it again gladly in any scenario. So I view that as Worth, and yeah, whatnot. If you wanted to, if you were a worse man than me, you'd call Worth in all chat and call him retards or some stuff like that. I'm just kidding. I might do that too. Anyways, in this particular game, I'm going to get a, what's it called? Infused Raindrop. I usually call it Teardrop. I think that's a good item. Just in general, I think I should get it a lot more on Brood, but this game in particular, I think it's pretty obvious why I'm getting it. A lot of the ways that they're going to kill me is with magic damage nukes. And also, just in general, Brood is pretty mana-starved mid. It's one of the reasons why I go Orchid over Radiant's first item, usually, but we'll talk about that more later. So my Rookie Roam mid died. It's all good. We still got 3 heroes mid on their team, and, I'm going to get a kill right here anyway, so it's all Gucci main. The Kunkka rotation. Kunkka's a nice hero. I like Kunkka. Nuruki's going to show up. We're going to kill Silencer too. It's pretty cool. I'm even going to chase the Invoker down. Force him. Oh yeah, this is the... Alright. Last death was worth it. This was not worth it. For several obvious reasons. We're diving tier 3s and getting shrines at 8 minutes. This is when the Kunkka set, or the Clinks started saying, yo guys, don't throw the game. What the heck? Brood mid's terrible. What are you guys doing? Little did he know he was going to abandon and he had no right to talk. Anyways, though, Yeah, that definitely wasn't worth it, and I would not do that again. But that was funny, okay? Whether or not you want to admit it, that was funny. And pretty bad. Regardless, though, we TP back mid. I'm not farming Ancients, ironically, because I said that that's what I wanted to show off. I'm not farming Ancients that much this game, and there's a reason for that. In games where I feel like I can just kill the mid laner repeatedly and create a bunch of space, I will do that. I will do that because it just yields better results, right? If I can at least trust my team to do anything right, I'll be like, hey guys, I'll just keep 3 heroes mid constantly and kill them, and maybe die a few times in return and feud a few spiders, if that means that, you know, you guys are going to win your lanes. If not, though, go farm Ancients like I'm going to do here. There is a pattern for farming every Ancient camp in the game, technically. You want to dodge. These guys have that big clap. Dodge that stuff. That kills your spiders like faster than crap. It's really bad. Also, have your spiders tank the auto attack. The first auto attack stops you from auto attacking. Like whatever it hits stops it from auto attacking. So don't get hit by that. It also does a fuck ton of damage. Do not get hit by this thing's auto attack and dodge its stomp. Thunder Heights, just because I don't know if I'm going to go through all the Ancients in this guide. The Thunder Heights have a big slam. Try to dodge that because that decreases your attack speed and that just slows down your jungle. It also kills Spiderites pretty easily. Black Dragons have a splash attack. You want that to hit you and not your spiders, unless you're like a god and you can split all of them up even when they're clumped up. You want your spiders to clump up because they get more damage that way because they can all attack at once. But you don't want them to clump up against the dragons because they have a splash attack. But if you're, like I said, if you're a god, you know, you can have your spiders tank that. Your spiderlings are probably okay to tank it. Spiderites not so much. And then golems are really easy. They're my favorite camp because you don't have to do anything. They're brainless. You just go and you kill them. Farming Ancients is incredibly good. It's like misunderstandingly good. Sorry, I don't know if that's a word. It is misunderstood in general. People don't farm Ancients enough. I don't know if there's a reason for that, but Brood can really stretch it in, and Brood players in general should do it a lot more. If you're not farming Ancients as Brood, even as offlane Brood, if you can't find a way to get to the enemy's the enemy's Ancient, like if you're on, say I was the offlaner for Dire right now, I would farm this camp after I took their tier 2, or even before then. I would just be farming that. Like, definitely after you take the tier 1, but, you know, farm this crap, right? If you're, let's see if I can't do it. If you're, what's it called, Radiant, offlane, I would look for ways to farm this Ancient camp. The Ancients are so good right now, specifically. I don't know if they're going to nerf them soon, but, Ancients give so much EXP to a hero that really desires her level 20. Brood mid comes online especially at level 20 when you get the 20 attack speed talent. 25 is a huge bonus, but level 20 is, and level 15 to some extent, is when you get your survivability talent at level 15 and your damage talent, your DPS I should say, your attack speed talent at level 20 are what really help this hero become the core that she needs to be for the majority of the game. She does get outclassed by some other mid cores, and that's, you know, why I don't try to take games too long with her, but she's pretty sufficient for the majority of the game. Here I'm gonna die. I will get the lion kill. No, I won't because he smoked. That was a good smoke by them. I will feed a few spiders and I will die. Not worth it overall. I should have seen that gank coming. There's so many ways in which a Brood mid can optimize her playstyle to like never die to ganks if you're splitting spiders up and patrolling their jungle appropriately. But I did not do that, so I died there. That being said, it is important to note that is 2 heroes that the Radiant had to dispense outside of just me and a Dust, and all they did was kill 1 hero. So it's important to note that. But they did kill me, so it was probably worth it on their end. Here, they do come out, they dust, they waste it, they don't get me killed, they kill a few spiders, that's good. So, okay, just kind of showing how Brood mid pays dividends for your team, even when she dies, even in death. But in this case especially, because I didn't die. And they wasted dust, so super worth. Nonetheless, I am still farming the camps, and I will take more, do more Ancient rotations. I always say, one of the strengths of Brood mid, and just generally how you should be Ancient farming, is Brood mid is like, she's so incredibly efficient at farming Ancients. If you have your webs set up appropriately, you can technically farm every Ancient camp every minute. This was kind of a weird little, I don't know what they're doing, but I got kind of mad at my team, because I was like, guys, they're just like, they're gooning out. Oh, do I die here? I didn't think I died here. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good fight for us. I mean, we didn't win, per se, but they expended resources, such as Dust and Sentry, and I sent the Invoker back to base, and they didn't do anything with it. This is kind of weird. This is fucking Lion. Lol. And then this fucking kid. Alright. So you kind of see how we won the game, even with the Clink's abandoning. But nonetheless, yeah, that was Brood Strength right there, you know? Some of that is just Brood Mother, period, and if you've watched my guides previously, you kind of know what I did there. So I don't feel it necessary to go back there and be like, oh, I activated my ultimate and right-clicked. Also just because that's pretty basic information. I mean, you know, like I said earlier, don't overcomplicate Brood Mother. You're not playing Meepo or anything. It's just right-click auto. It's just right-clicks. A lot of it is right-clicks. She's a lot like Zerg from StarCraft 2. Denying Bounding Runes when you can there. So we'll talk about talents for a sec. Like I said, I do the health talent on Brood, and just in general, like even when I've been playing offlane, I've been favoring the health talent a lot more recently. Sucks that I loved the CDR talent so much recently, and I praised it to the end of the earth, but have been favoring the health talent more and more. My logic behind it, and there have been games that I played recently where I've been like, man, I should take the CDR talent. So I do think it's not always clear cut. I think it's a toss-up. My logic behind it is the health talent saves you in scenarios where activating your ulti and right-clicking is the correct play. Like, that's the only way you're going to survive. And the enemy is hard CCing you while bursting you down, and the extra 350 health will be the difference between you living and surviving in those circumstances. That's why I take the health talent. The CDR talent is still, like, universally better in every other case where getting bursted down and hard stunned is not going to kill you. But if it is going to kill you, or if it's questionable whether or not it's going to kill you, then it's correct to take the health talent. And those scenarios are just too often recently that I find myself taking the health talent. Once you get BKB, this becomes much less of an issue because what was a hard stun to BKB becomes not as big of a deal. I guess I shouldn't say hard stun specifically, but sometimes you get silenced and you can't activate your ulti and survive there. But having a BKB lets you do that. So, but nonetheless, so because we're not on BKB yet, I didn't go Orchid this game actually. I went Radiant's first item, I guess. Trying to think of my rationale here. Like I said, I typically like to go Orchid. The reasoning for that is mana is a huge deal on mid Brood, whereas it's a lot less of a big deal to offlane Brood. Mana in mid Brood's case is your biggest farming limiter. For lack of a better explanation. Like, with mana, you can farm so many camps, so much farm, so little time. Without mana, you know, you're kind of limited to Soul Ring cooldowns, and this is simply just because of the power of spiders. I mean, it's not to say that you can't farm big ancient camps without spiders, it just feels inefficient, and I often feel like it's not even worth my time. In this case, I just picked up Radiance, but my team was fighting previously to that, which sucked, so I'm not going to get any kills here. I don't think I die, but yeah. Or do I get kills? Maybe I do. I don't think I die. There's no way. I think he stuns me here, but I right-click him. Oh, tell me. Yeah, I was going to say. Oh, no, I do die. Rip. Man, this was not a good fight, even if it looked like it. Killing the Invoker feels good there, but for the most part, I hate dying like that when I get Radiance and I just want to go fight and kill people. But that's kind of some of the pitfalls to Radiance right there, is whereas it increases your survivability with the mischance, sometimes just having a silence is better to stop the enemy from CCing you and doing crap like that. So, but yeah, so this game, even though I went Radiance, it's kind of hard for me to explain why. And yeah, you'll see, I was even thinking like afterwards, I was like, man, an Orchid would also be really good this game. Sometimes in the game itself, it's hard for me to make a decision because what's killing me isn't exactly what should be killing me, and so I'll make decisions based off of my enemies playing in ways that they shouldn't be, or that I maybe am making misplays that I shouldn't be as well. So say for instance, they lost 2 earlier, like the Invoker died and they lost a support as well, I think, which was bad for them. They did kill me though, and so overall it's hard for me to say that's trade is worth it because I'm dying, so I'm biased in this situation. I'm like, man, it feels really bad to die when I just get Radiance and I'm the most farmed hero in the game. But at the same time, we did kill 2, and one of them was their mid Invoker, so it's hard for me to say. Here's a situation where I just shouldn't be dying, and no item will save you in that scenario. But I'm getting a little bit too specific. This isn't helpful to people that are trying to watch the guide, so we'll skip ahead a little bit here. I've showed most of what I want to show, actually. You could probably just skip it. No, I haven't, because I haven't showed you guys where the Clink's DC is, which is important to know. Oh, wait. I can talk about something very important. Okay. Sorry, I seem really scatterbrained, but I think this is useful information. So, mid-brood, if it's good for no other reason, it's good because it's very, very, very routine. What you're doing in the mid lane, you will be doing every game, pretty much barring no matchup. There's some finesse, like I said, with Spider Micro and killing your opponent with knowing like where their nukes and cooldowns are. But much outside of that, you will be trying to farm the Ancients every game. You will be trying to hit a very specific item timing, usually like 2 or 3, every single game. And you can accomplish this every single game, farming appropriately every single game. Furthermore, you are trying to take every outer tower and control Roshan every single game. Brood can do this, and especially from the mid lane, she can do this. She can control the map with her team. She does it better than a vast majority of the heroes in Dota 2. People don't typically play this hero correctly. They AFK in one lane as opposed to take over all of the lanes. You can do this, and Brood is very good at doing this. So, like I said, if you're just trying to grind out solo MMR, I'm not saying that that's what I'm always trying to do, but it is helpful that it's very easy to win with Brood because of how routine of a playstyle she has. Again, this is speaking to no extent of the power of the hero. Just because a hero has a routine a routine playstyle every game does not make them overpowered. It does not make them grindy or easy to play. Because there's a lot of finesse in some ways to how you play out the routine. I'm just simply saying, if by happenstance you are trying to grind out solo MMR, Brood can be a good hero to do this for, because specifically when you're playing her mid, and to some small extent when you're playing her offlane, she has a very easy way of approaching the game that, like I said, it's very routine. The only thing that's variable is how finesse you are, or how much finesse you can demonstrate with the hero. So we'll continue with that. Being said, like I said, we took bottom, I took mid pretty much solo, and now we're moving offlane. We're controlling all of their outer towers are just taken care of. And so now where we want to move from here is Roshan, right? You take all of their control. There's probably some Sun Tzu quote that you can insert here. Dude, I'm trying to force high ground here, and we do take it at a cost though. But I get defusal after. No, I didn't. Did I? I think eventually this game I get defusal. Somebody had defusal there. It's Ricky. Ricky got defusal. I like defusal on Brood mid recently. I've been picking it up, so we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, we take their Rex. There wasn't a cost. I guess we lost the Void, but we probably lost them before that anyways. You don't need to take a Rex there, by the way. When you're taking the outer towers, you don't need to Rex them, so don't feel obligated to doing that. We just took it there because 4 of their heroes were dead. I could have sworn that we lost heroes there, but I guess we didn't. Maybe that was another replay that I'm thinking of. It didn't. I mean, looking at it after everybody was dying, I was like, oh man, I don't see why we don't take this Rex for free here. But I guess I was remembering back to a different replay where we lost a bunch of heroes. And so this is where the Clinkz DCs. We don't get the Roche. And we take a very bad fight here. I get picked. I don't know how they had vision there. I'm actually curious. Just for my own devices, I'm curious how I die here. How did they know that I was there? Yeah, I was going to say, it makes sense that they have a ward on the high ground, but so did we, so that's why I felt safe there. They had a ward there and they saw me farming it. Yeah. I was thinking in my mind, I was like, there's no way they have a ward here too, because we had a ward there. And this is just one of those derpy moment where, and even in very, like, I guess this was like a mid 5k game. No, the Clinkz was higher MMR than me. This was like a mid 5k game. Even in mid 5k games, both teams can scout the same location and not sentry it. That's kind of derpy, but whatever. Just feels weird having that happen. But they kill me and take Roche. Clinkz is DC'd, and the game feels like, oh man, how are you going to win the game from here? Well, short and sweet to the point, we micro the Clinkz a little bit throughout some of the fights. I farm incredibly hard. And we take some good fights. Sorry, Global Silence was working there, so I couldn't talk. Lol. We take some good fights, even as weird as that sounds, even though it was like mostly a 45. You can only micro somebody so much, especially as Broodmother. If there's one disadvantage to this style, I will say it's hard to micro your teammates when they abandon, because you're playing Broodmother. Lol. But no, we take some good fights despite the fact that mostly it was a 4v5. And we pressure the right objectives. You know, all that samey bullcrap stuff that everybody kind of thinks about. You know, if you're winning a game hard, you know, you just go with the flow, etc. so forth. Pop your ulti, pop your BKB, lifesteal up, kill people, lose your void, you know, whatnot. And then die here, rip, feels bad, man. We did lose, what was I gonna say? Pause, sorry. The Clinkz came back, as you can see, I think I said that. But I don't think he was an instrument to why we won the game eventually. I think he just helped. Which is to say, I think we could have won this game technically without him, because for the most part we did. He was doing really well up until he abandoned, and then when he came back, he picked up his pace. But he was so far behind in net worth when he came back, I think. Because, yeah, it's like 38 minutes in, and he has a Deso, pretty much, and a Dragon Lights, I guess, as well. That we technically probably could have won this game completely without him coming back. Just that's how much momentum we had. That's how strong I was. That's how strong my Void was. But nonetheless, we did end up winning this game. So moving on to the next replay, because that's one critique I got from my guides, was I looked too much at like the overarching replay when really I should just be showing one specific thing, like their laning phase or the general flow of how the game goes, as opposed to like looking at every single aspect of the replay. So we'll look at this game. This game seems like a slaughter. Let me make sure I can refresh my own memory here as to what happens. Yeah, this game seems like a slaughter from the outside, but I'll say it shouldn't have been. Definitely, they had a Quap mid. Quap mid. When you're Brood, you probably shouldn't be killing her ever, but there's so many ways in which, like, even the slightest mistake on a Quap player can cost her life, as long as the Brood player is playing, moderately well. Not to toot my own horn here or anything, I'm just saying, like, you just play the game and play to your opponent's mistakes, and then you win out, or whatever, and that's kind of what happened this game. So, we got 3 tangos this game. Who cares, though? That doesn't really matter too much. I just really want 1 as a Brood Mother. 2 helps, but isn't necessary. Then she comes to mid, and we do the thing. There's Bounty Hunter here. I'll talk briefly about this. So, the dynamic between sentry wards and clipping them and stuff like that, as I was talking earlier, it's one that you should learn, honestly, on your own, and I can't really tell you too much about it just because there's so many mind games that go into it. So, you don't know if the enemy mid laner is going to start with a sentry because you don't know what the enemy knows. If they know that you're Brood mid, maybe they will. And if you do, then finding this information out is obviously important. But you're taking mid, and so you don't have an Invoker on your team. So he's not going to Sunstrike the Fountain and find out whether or not they have sentries on them for you, right? The safest way to do this is to go mid yourself and drop a sentry. But I don't like doing that. I don't want to drop a sentry every game because in the games that they don't have a sentry there, I don't want to waste a sentry potentially in a location that's bad. As I play Brood, like to know where their sentries are and counterward them, because I have accumulated enough Broodmother games that I can, generally speaking, approximate good locations for sentries, put my sentry in safe locations to counter their vision whilst also protecting mine. That's just the way that I like to play the sentry game. But again, the dynamic is almost personal and playstyle based as it is right now, and there's probably no right or wrong answer unless you're just doing something that yields 100% failure rate. So with that being said, the way that this Quap is going to kind of like, not really this Quap, but the way that Bounty Hunter and Quap are going to play together in this case is going to make it so I don't die at the start. I probably should die at the start because they have a Bounty Hunter that's invis mid, and I don't have a sentry here. So I should probably, in some ways, you could be like, well, if you're not going to die, I mean, at the very least, I should probably get punished for playing as far up as I am, being a melee hero with no escape other than just running. I should probably get punished for my movements here, but Bounty doesn't go for it, nor does the Quap, even though I do think that they have a sentry. That being said, even if they don't have a sentry here, there is a Bounty Hunter here, which does prompt me to want to place a sentry here. This is one of those times where it's like, yeah, I mean, they might not have a sentry here, but just having a Bounty Hunter makes me want to place a sentry here, because he can just run up to me whilst invisible and use dust, and that can be very scary. So, in this case, I do think I place a sentry down, and I'll place it, like I said, in a location that I feel like I can protect. I don't generally make stupid mistakes with my sentries, because they're fairly important. Maybe I won't. I should. But I might not. I don't know. I guess maybe I felt like Bonnie was just never in my lane. Anyways, so we'll talk about the way that the dynamic between playing against spells works. Because against Invoker, last game, there's the Bounty Hunter, by the way. I think he's going to come back in. And that's probably what's going to prompt me. Yep. I place a sentry, he places his. I snipe his, he doesn't snipe mine. Easy game. It was seeing him again that made me prompt it. And like I said, he could have came here with a dust and probably killed me if he used the courier enough and took it from his team. So something to consider. Regardless, I'm getting nuked here, and like I said, I want to talk about the dynamic now between me using my spells versus Quap using her spells, because her spells seem to diametrically oppose mine, right? She has an AoE potential wave clear. It has to get to a certain level before it's going to kill creeps and spiders likewise reliably. But she has an AoE nuke that is somewhat good against your Q, like I said, and she has a blink that helps her get away from your Q as well. The other component of her Q. The component where you just want to chase them down and right-click them. So she seems like she should never die. But like I said, she has to be playing pretty well for that to happen. She has to be using her spells pretty unorthodoxly. Unorthodoxly? I don't know. This is a case where, yeah, I thought he was going to run up there, but he ran down. My supports were there. We get the kill eventually. I'm not even assisting it at this point. I did have mana to spare there, and I could have helped him out. But once I saw him dust, I was like, he's definitely dead. I just want to stay mid here and push this lane out. Maybe I should have shown up to that, though, because, assist gold, and maybe I could have gotten what's it called? I could have gotten the kill too. And also experience is nice too. But regardless, I was just like, I felt like they have it. You know, there's no reason for me to show up to this. So I stayed mid farming. And so there. She has an Arcane Rune, so it's kind of hard for me to really punish it because it's hard for me to memorize the exact cooldown on her E with it. But every time she nukes, I'm just going to send spiders on her a little bit to kind of nuke her down. It really is that simple for the most part. Excuse me. There's some things that you have to keep in mind, like, you know, not having vision of the area and how she might be using her nukes to bait me. But for the most part, it's really easy if you just have spiderlings like I did in this case. So here, we just get a pretty easy kill. And by easy, I mean it shouldn't have happened, but it did. She nuked here. I don't even think I was checking her mana. I was just checking like when she was going to use her nuke on my spiderlings because I knew it couldn't kill him. But she doesn't have enough. She's just barely short here of blink mana. She like literally died with 59. That feels bad for her. I'm sorry. But nonetheless, I killed her. And yeah, that's kind of a shining example of how like you can outplay opponents somewhat. I don't even really want to say it's outplaying. It's just them playing dumb. But it's you playing to the strengths that you know your opponents have and waiting for them to get overconfident with them. So here she comes. She did place a sentry. I snipe it. She didn't take my sentry. So another benefit of this style, and you'd be surprised on how often that happens, is that you just get things like that to happen. Here, she doesn't... I don't know if she was thinking she could farm my spiders. She definitely had mana there. Like I knew that she did because she just TP'd back in. But the cast animation on her blink is very long. I get called a hero spammer a lot, but I don't spam Brood so much that I don't know cast animations, okay? I know cast animations from a general sense. I know that all of QoP's cast animations are sluggish, and nobody talks about them. But they'll be damned if they get another cast animation nerf on any of Leshrakt's abilities. You know, like, I know a few general rules about heroes like that. And, for instance, like I said, like, I know QoP has a pretty lengthy cast animation on her blink. So I kind of punished that there. I knew that she was going to want to farm my spiders when I sent them in on her, so I sent them in on her. And then she might sit there and think that she can't die there. But I know I can kill her when I get Medallion. So I kill her when I get Medallion. And I nuke her down. And we'll demonstrate that fact a little bit later on when I just, like, almost 100-0 her with just one round of spider attacks with Medallion. Brood's damage is very deceptive, but kind of demonstrating what I debatably should have been doing. Yeah, right there. Look at that. That's disgusting. Let's get a real-time recap of this damage. This is with spiderlings. I could have had spiderites. That was 3 seconds. I killed her in 3 seconds from 100% health. Anyways, whatever. I'm farming Ancients, as you just saw. I farmed them at like 6 minutes and 30 seconds. I think I'm kind of farming Ancients a lot more diligently than I was last game. The reasoning for this is, I mean, quite simply, there's just not as many heroes mid. When QoP's here, I'm killing her, but when she's not, I just, you know, go kill something else. Here, Slaughter got a little zealous there. Pretty easy micro, but I'll show that again just for the people that, you know, want to see it. And I don't know, there's some people that Craigasm over my spider micro. It's really not that hard. Send him away. He wants to nuke him because he's like juicy spiders. Fun fact, he couldn't have killed the spiders anyways, and I knew that. I was like Yajirobe from DC, as I told you guys, man, always 2 steps ahead of my opponents. Spiderites are back here. This is what he could kill with his nuke. These are the spiderlings. Had my spiderlings pushing. He TP'd in, thought, oh, spiders, farm, GG, you know. Couldn't have killed him even if he wanted to. 450 HP, his nuke is level 2. Even if it was max rank, it would only do 225 damage. Wire guitars, man. Just kidding. Not trying to to my own horn, but like I said, I you know, always trying to be ahead of your opponents. And then we kill him because he has sprint on, so he takes amp damage. Feels good, man. QoP comes in, gets a little bit of farm. That's right, I forgot about that clip. Debatably worth, I don't know. She comes in, farms a few. I think she's like, man, I'm tired of my team feeding. I need some farm. And then she just nukes all my fucking spiders down with her ulti. Feels fucking bad, dude. We'll see a clip of that later, which is gonna be kind of funny. I don't know. If you're a QoP player, maybe you just cringe there. Or feels good. I don't know. Like I said, I personally don't think that's worth. Immediately when that happened, I was like, guys, you can play safe, or you can play as aggressively as you want. Sonic Wave is down. But you know, whatever. Yeah, she did it. It's something that happened in a game of Dota 2. There's pauses because it's a 5K game and people are just ecstatic about being that high MMR, so they pause throughout the game. And then I pause. Alright, I'm a big fucking hypocrite, I'm sorry. Alright, whatever. This isn't the point of the game. What I wanted to show was just the amount of pressure that you can apply mid and how hard you can farm Ancients afterwards. couple questions you may be asking yourself right now are, well, Wired, why didn't they send Legion Commander mid? You're doing the Spiders build, and that seems to be the way that you win mid, most of these mid matchups anyways, so wouldn't you just lose? By the way, this is how you farm against Black Dragons, kind of, if you want to split them up, or whatever. But anyways, wouldn't it be a hard counter if they just send Legion Commander mid? Well, there's a few problems. That was the time that I wanted to show you, where I didn't kill her, but like, look at this damage. This is in a second. I medallion her as I'm walking up, but like, boom. Just fucking... I like... Some pro players play without the white thing. They play so that the health just automatically updates and they don't see the white bars, those white bars that you're saying. I play with them just so I can see big chunky things like that. I love seeing that. White is like my favorite color to see. No Kappa. No Kappa bread. Anyways though. What was I saying? Yeah, Legion Commander. You might have a few questions. You might be like, Wired, why didn't... And there's when she uses... Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to stay on this topic. I just thought that was funny. A funny use of her ulti there again. So 2 out of 2 Sonic Waves so far have been used to farm spiders. And she didn't even kill my spiderlings because the damage is pure. And to compensate for that, they lowered the nuke damage when they made that change. So it's like 290 at level 1. So it's not even enough. Is it 290? How good is my co-op knowledge? 290. Boom. See, I don't spam heroes. Anyways, she didn't even kill my spiderling. She only killed my spider heads. Anyways, I'm sorry. So, Brood mid versus Legion Commander, or just the other general heroes that Brood typically counters, but they might seem good against Brood in this context because you're actually leveling spiders. So, Legion Commander and Axe, I've made guides on, well, I haven't made guides on those heroes, on how to counter those heroes as Broodmother. But if you watch my stream, you'd know how I counter those heroes. And basically the way is you just don't level spiders and you kill them at level 6. That being said, in this game, or in this case where I'm Brood mid, you might be like, well, Brood mid seems to revolve around leveling spiders and farming ancients. How would you farm against Legion Commanders and Axes? Truth be told, I don't lane against them enough mid to know this information. And this is the reason, and the reason that I talked to you earlier about not throwing my first web mid, it's kind of the reason for that. They don't want to lane swap because they've already committed the Quap mid. Where is Quap going to lane outside of mid? Offlane? Are they just going to send Quap offlane and then rotate their offlane Legion Commander mid here? How's that going to work out for a Quap, you know? The same thing with Invokers. If they pick Invoker and if I last pick Brood and they pick, they third picked Invoker and they fifth picked Darkseer, right, to counter me, like, yeah, sure, you have Darkseer against Brood. I know how to play that matchup, but you're probably not even gonna like get the matchup that you want because I'm going mid, dude. Like, are you just gonna tell Invoker to go safe lane or off lane or like what's he gonna do? You know. So there's that aspect of it. Furthermore, there's also the aspect of I can always just go the no spiders build. One thing about Broodmother versus Legion Commander and Axe that makes Broodmother strong against those heroes in the laning phase, if you go the no spiders build, like I said, if you watch my stream, you know what I'm talking about. One thing that makes it strong is Broodmother. This is like some general overarching Dota knowledge for you. This doesn't pertain to specifically the mid Broodmother guide. But one of the things that makes the offlane kind of scary for most offlaners is the distance from the tower. You probably know what I'm talking about, but haven't thought about it too much. Look at the distance between towers. Whereas mid, look at this distance. It's like not as much. Well, this is where the tower would be. Here lies Dyer's tier 1 tower mid. Okay, the distance isn't as much, right? And there's a lot of like, you know, weird terrain to travel. You're gonna lose vision if you're going up and down hills. Okay. When Legion Commander and Axe go mid, and they're pushing your tower hardcore, and you go the no spiders build, you have less distance before they get back to their tower and die to you right-clicking them. Because it takes you a while, admittedly, at level 6 to kill them. You have to, like, you kind of wear them down over the course of 12 seconds. You don't burst them down instantly, right? You start right-clicking them with your ulti, and maybe you'll finish them off with a nuke if you don't level too many webs, if you don't put too many points into webs, which I actually have started to not do as much when I'm going against those heroes. Anyways, so yeah, Broodmother mid against Legion Commanders and Axes. Admittedly, Axe and Legion Commander are a little bit stronger than they would be in the offlane because it's harder to kill them at those timings. Because look, like the distance in the offlane, like if a Legion Commander's right up here, you're sitting back here, Legion EXP, you hit level 6, look at all this distance. I wish I could use my arrow key. Look at all this distance you have before they hit their tower, or before somebody TPs in and rotates down to save them. Keep in mind, you're slowing them the whole time with your in-cap bite, and you're doing massive damage. Like, you're going to kill them way, way sooner. Or not sooner. You're going to kill them at the same time, but you're going to kill them before they can hit their tower, whereas mid, not so much. So it is something to keep in mind. But like I said, I don't lane against them too often, but if I ever found myself in a situation where they just, like, okay, Quap, go in the off lane, like, I want Legion Commander against Broodmother, I'd probably give the No Spiders build a shot anyways. I'd give it a shot. I'd see if I can't kill her at level 6. basically give me some time to play with that matchup and see if it's actually any different from what I mentioned, or if she, still doesn't struggle in that matchup. I think going no spiders is fine. The problem I would have in that case as well is if people start rotating mid, because no spiders is really good against one person, but it's not as good against two people. If I felt like I was going to get heavily pressured, I'd definitely just go the spiders build anyways. And I have played against a few Legion commanders mid. I just don't play them against them that much. In the games that I have played against them, I usually level spiders and just hope that they never know that I'm farming this ancient camp. Because if they did, they could walk right here and nuke me and my spiders, and I wouldn't be able to farm ancients on the side. I just have to rotate over here. Basically, it's a little bit harder. I will say that for sure. You're leveling spiders against Legion Commander. That's why people think that Legion Commander counters Brood, even though she doesn't. But she does do that aspect of, like, the matchup is not as clear cut and dry as overwhelming odds counter spiders. Just like with Earthshaker, Brood is not countered by Earthshaker, but people think she is because of Echo Slam. And it is important to note that no matter what, he technically will always have that, right? Brood does not get countered by Earthshaker, but he will always have Echo Slam. It's just always something to keep in mind. So anyways, farming ancients, farming hard camps, placing webs basically anywhere there's a camp, and trying to farm two places at once. Like I said, just being macro efficient. Not even caring to use my ulti to farm ancients just to get because maybe I'm low on spiders. If you're low on spiders and you need to get the ball rolling on them, like you don't have very many spiders to farm ancients, then just start just go and use your ulti and farm the camp and then make spiders that way. Here, maybe this looks a bit familiar if you've watched TI5. Zai in TI5 played Brood mid and went and went and ganked for his team, and that's kind of what I did here. In fairness, I timed it with my Orchid, but I killed that spider that Slardar just with my Q. So a little bit of Zai footage there for you, Kappa. I'm just kidding. We get a triple kill, that's right, because Brood's damage is absurd. Well, not just because of me. My team probably would have killed them anyways there, but I helped. And then we just control the map. This game I went Orchid, and like I said, Orchid really, really nice for mana in just general farming patterns. Also controlling the map. You'd be surprised. I don't necessarily think that Brood's a hard counter to Storm Spirit. Everybody says just go Orchid, but oftentimes when I'm against a Storm Spirit, I will not go Orchid first. If I'm mid, maybe, if my team shows the audacity to want to group. But if my team just wants to farm, I won't go Orchid first against Storm. Because Storm is so stupid. He just picks up a fucking 2,000 gold item and counters your 4,000 gold item. And just in general, I mean, to be fair, a lot of heroes are like that. But it's just frustrating to play against Storm Spirits because they do it so effortlessly. They'll just pick up a Euls, like I said, and they'll just fly away. And so this game is somewhat similar. We're against a Quap. I picked up Orchid for me and for grouping. I did not pick up Orchid to counter Quap, right? I picked it up for me. It just so happens to be a decent pickup against Quap until she gets an answer for it, which is not nearly as hard as me getting Orchid, right? Like I said, 4,000 gold for Orchid, 2,000 gold for Euls. Kind of price differential there. It's one of the reasons why Orchid needed that buff back when they gave it the Bloodthorn build out, is because you just get Orchid and it'd be this mid-cost item that got countered by so many low-cost items and didn't build into anything. So, like I was saying, I picked up Orchid here to farm, and because my team shows the willingness to want to group and actually take the towers, because we have Tide Ravage, Monkey King ulti, we have just a lot of things to play around, a lot of big ultis. Like every single one of us besides me has a big ulti to play around, and even my ulti is pretty fucking big when you think about like the relative damage to the game. So we're going to sit here, we're going to play around those strengths and take these towers. But even if we didn't, I'd be totally fine to just sit back and farm for like 10 minutes and get another big item. And this is kind of just an example of that, right? Just Orchid, that's like the most clear cut and dry, like, oh, Brood counters Quap because you just Orchid her and kill her. No, that's just Quap playing poorly, and I just did very simple things. Here, get double kills, I go godlike at 12 minutes in, I'm out-leveling most Meepos. I'm level 14 and it's 12 minutes in. Most Meepos wouldn't even be this high level, so, cool little 1,000 EXP per minute here to look at. 700, sorry. Anyways. Like I said, this is a very regular occurrence. It's how do I give an analogy without sounding conceited? Brood mid is a lot like Huskar. You're either gonna win the game in 20 minutes and look like you're dominating the whole time doing it, or you're gonna lose miserably in a long, grueling game that doesn't end when it should. Except Brood does scale a little bit better because she has steroids that aren't just attack speed. Yeah. I'm going BKB next. I often find myself just getting a BKB pretty much always second item, whether I go Radiance or Orchid. just because it's a nice get out of jail free card, and it's typically what you need to finish games anyways. I try to have all of my core, I say core with quotes, but you can't see me. I try to have all my core-ish items by the 20-minute mark. You'll know you're doing pretty good if you can get them at like around 17 minutes. If you can get a BKB and an Orchid, you know you're doing pretty fucking good. For relative gold net worth, that's like, right, boots and then 4,000 gold items, right? That's like, and then also medallion is a 1,000. That's like 9,000 net worth in the first 17 minutes of the game. That's pretty good. Wait, is it? Let me think. Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I mean, I'm demonstrating it this game. I'm getting it in 17 minutes here. Using the courier, like I said, though, is a bitch. Like, I have my BKB completed, but I just can't get it because my team keeps using it. Oh man, I wish solo queue players shift queued the courier more rather than just canceling the trip on it, so that I have to check on it every 2 seconds to make sure it's flying out to me. Look at this. I have BKB in my courier, and I flew it out earlier, but I'm just not getting it because somebody canceled the pro on it, which really sucks. And this is pretty much GG. I think this is all that I want to watch from this replay. And I think that's all the real replays I have. Oh wait, I did want to see this. How much time do I have? I've got an hour. We're good. I want to take a look at a replay where I lose, not because this style is bad or anything. As I told you earlier, it's fine, very fine. I do this and I win a lot of my games. But I do think it's important to look at what can go wrong. Or more specifically, what will go wrong if, you know, you have troubles ending the game. And this is probably the best example that I could find in recent games. Like I said, it's going to be hard for me to find like the quintessential example across all 300 of my games since I've started playing this style. Not saying that I have 300 games mid, but, you know, ever since the last 6 months, like I told you, I revamped my brute style. It's going to be hard for me to find the quintessential example just because Valve does delete replays. But this is a recent game that I played that really highlights a lot of like why this struggles, or where this struggles. Not why, but where this struggles. Sorry, I'm on the fucking Pudge's player's perspective. But yeah, this replay will kind of demonstrate where this style struggles and why it does poorly in where it does. Not to say it's bad, but just why it could be bad. Or why it eventually becomes bad. So we're against a mid Visage. I'll give you guys a moment to laugh that over. I'm not saying mid Visage is bad, by the way. I think mid Visage is actually fine, but specifically against Brute, mid Visage is probably the worst pick that you could actually pick in the game. It's got incredibly low base armor. And to boot, he has like no way of dealing with you whatsoever. 285 movement speed, he's very slow, has no AoE whatsoever, and I'm not saying, oh, little AoE counters Brood, but you want some form of AoE to cancel the free pathing on spiders so they can't just gang up on you and destroy you, and Visage could not do that, so I just dominated him this game. There's really no contest whatsoever. I, again, hate to sound conceited, but like, look at this, I'm getting a triple kill and it's 4 minutes in. I don't know, whatever. I'm gonna say things and sound like I'm conceited, so just bear with me here. I'm not trying to suck my own dick. You know, and you get your medallion at 4 minutes, and you got your soul ring, and my GPM is probably close, yeah, to 500 right now. Feels good, man. But some important things to keep in mind here is I'm gonna lose the game, and we're looking for that, right? We're not looking for how I would win the early game, because, you know, it only makes the game sadder. I double downed on this game too, I think, so minus 50 rip feels really bad. I usually double down when I feel like I'm gonna you know, go mid Brood and just get an easy win, and it always destroys me. I think I've lost like all my double downs besides one. Feels bad, man. So it may look like I'm feeding spiders here, but if you look closely there, I didn't actually kill any. They didn't kill any, and I'm just keeping 2 heroes here. And they're wasting mana early game. That sucks, even though they're kind of close to the fountain because they're right outside their tier 3s. But they're wasting mana nonetheless, and yeah, I'm just, you know, kind of easily farming away and you know, forcing their time and resources. One thing I wanted to demonstrate here, and this is something I've been doing. If you watch, I didn't make any note of it, but if you've been watching what I've been doing and how I've been playing rather than just listening to what I'm saying, then you'll notice I've been doing this, and I just want to bring attention to it now. Notice how every time I'm farming, I'm using or every time I'm doing it intelligently, because I've died actually. If we watch this replay, and I spoke about it briefly earlier, how I could be scouting more with my spiders. When I'm on my real A game, I'll take the little bit of extra time it takes me to just send one spider above like high ground locations that I feel kind of nervous about, send them on a patrol command, just to make sure that I'm not going to die to some stupid silencer coming over here and queuing me, and then a Visage and a Void or some crap like that comes out too. They won't pop smoke, okay? Spiders don't pop smoke, but they do, you know, they do scout heroes in an 800 vision range at night and 1100 at day. They have pretty good vision, basically, and you should always be trying to be diligent about, you know, using your spiders really for what they were intended for in the mid to late game, where you're not using them for a damage source like Valve seems to think you are, because they keep buffing the level 20 talent where you can spider attack damage, which is so stupid. They're not used for damage in the mid to late game. They're used for vision. You want to scout with them. And so right there, like, this is why Visage sucks against mid brood. This is why I hate to God, like, I get the kill here, but god damn it, can I just take this, use this video, which might get a lot of views, who knows, if it blows up on Reddit, just to take 1 second to say, Valve, please change Brood's webs to destroy only the furthest away web when she casts a web that is past the 8 max webs, or 16 when she gets the talent. That is so obnoxious that this web, that I so clearly needed, got destroyed because herp derp, it was the oldest web. Like, I know this hero's meant to be somewhat difficult, but that should not be a mechanic that I have to work with. I shouldn't have to, in the heat of battle, sit here and not micro, it's like macro manage. I shouldn't have to be like, oh, chasing this Visage, but herp derp, I gotta scroll all the way down here, highlight my freaking web, wherever the heck, I just kind of scroll over here and just hope I click it, push the Q button, and then go back to the action. That's dumb, it's unnecessary, it's not skillful, okay, it's just annoying, and that shouldn't be in the game. Anyways, sorry. I helped every Broodmother player, or at least I said something that was probably on their mind. Anyways, though, like, getting back to the replay, sorry. So he's going to come up here, and we're going to herp him, derp him. We're not going to actually kill him here because I didn't have webs placed there. Ripped it. One thing that I will say about this style that I've noticed a lot more from offlane, you are starved for webs. As weird as it sounds, we are going to herp derp him here. I knew that I killed him eventually. And I actually, noticed, I popped the dust, and he was trying to place a sentry, and I sniped that as well. I think I die here. Yeah, no, actually, Pudge got a really good hook. And then I killed the Visage. Double kill, feels good. Yeah, so we're just going, we're having a field day this game. This feels really good, but remember, we do lose the game. One thing I was going to say, you are starved for webs with this style, which sounds like a real first world problem, but it's actually so detrimental to this hero. Like, not having your appropriate web it's gotten to the point where I've likened Broodmother to Earth Spirit, because I have 1,000 games on Earth Spirit. Like, not having the webs that, I want to pause because this might be important. Not having webs as a resource to be able to cast like 2 or 3 out in a chain can really restrict this hero. So, as I can just, if I'll say nothing else about this, because you might be like, where are you going with this? Be as conservative as possible with your webs, because you never know when you might need a lot of them, and you will need a lot of them. I promise you. You just don't know when yet. It's hard to keep webs on the lane, on camps that you want to farm. On the lane as it changes and extends out, because you'll kill the tower or the enemy will kill your tower, or both. And then also assisting ganks, all the while also having like 2 to 3 webs up, you know, kind of always constantly, just in case somebody wanders into your territory and you want to kill them and they kind of start to run. Right? It's hard to have webs for all those situations, so you kind of have to pick and choose. But all I'm trying to say is be stringent with your stringent. Is that even a word? Be stingy with your webs. If you notice that there's like one creep that's off your webs, don't drop a web there just to go kill it. Like, just walk off your webs for a second and kill it. Like, there's no reason to be greedy, or there's no reason to be liberal in that case. Be greedy, you know, conserve your webs. They're important. Here they focus. I do not know why they focused that line. I guess they thought that they could kill me here, and they do. I killed the Visage. I feel like I should have killed that Clockwork too. They definitely should have focused me there first. I don't get out of there alive, but I got way more than I should have out of that, and it's kind of like, it's also like, it's about time you guys killed me. They could have risked not killing me there. 100%, in situations like that, expect to die first, almost always. Because Brood mid is such a like disgusting thing to do to your opponents. They will want to kill you at every site. Yeah, I mostly I'm just speaking from the perspective, like, I know Lion has CC, and he could have potentially, if left unfocused, could have gotten them out of the scenario. Also, he was the closer target. But I'm carrying such a huge bounty in my head, like, it's almost greedy to go for the Lion there, to just be like, oh, we'll get the Brood too later, don't worry. It's like, no, dude, you gotta secure the kill on the 9-1 at the time Broodmother with a huge kill streak. Although I only died for 538, so who knows. Anyways, like I said earlier with the routine gameplay, routine gaming, if you will, Yajirobe DC had the Yajirobe from DC had the defensive laning. He had hard work, hashtag dedication, hashtag defensive laning. So I'm gonna have routine gaming here, routine gameplay. You want to work around, right? You want to take the towers, the outer towers, and control objectives with Brood mid. Take both your 2s and then start focusing on your team. If they're easy and you have Orchid, then you know you can omit that and go sooner. But for the most part, focus on tier 2s, man. That mid tier 2 is so precious. If you can kill that early enough into the game, it's almost GG for right then and there, because they have no map control. It's ridiculous how imperative having a mid tier 2 is. Even mid tier 1 like opens up the map so much to your team. They just have so much fewer, if that makes sense. It's like an oxymoron. They have so fewer options to TP in and control their side of the map. Like, it's actually absurd. But regardless, we're trying to control the bot here. They get a good hook, and by that I mean, you know, they control me. And if there was follow-up there, they could have maybe bursted me down because I don't have BKB or anything that would have prevented like all of their damage. I guess I don't really have too much magic burst anyways, actually. Yeah. One important thing to note here is, this is probably what bodes well, is we focused on the troll a fair amount, but you know, he's just pushing up there right now, and you know, it kind of shows on the GPM. Like, he may have gotten fucked in the landing phase, but past that we kind of grouped and took mid and bot. We didn't ever really focus him top, and his towers indeed are the last to fall here. I'm not saying that's the reason why we lost the game. We lost this game for sure for other reasons, and like I said, I'll get into that. Some of it's player mistake, some of it is just, you know, conceptual, like, I didn't tell my team enough, like, hey guys, we gotta end the game, because, like, you know, mid-brood and shit. It may seem like we're doing a pretty good job of that now, but they start to group and we stop the grouping and it gets kind of bad. This is like the first bad fight we've taken. You'll kind of, it's not even really terrible, it's just kind of weird. And we'll divulge it. We'll talk about it. He misses the hook. I BKB under Void ulti, and then I ult. And so I get one pick before my BKB goes down, and this just kind of makes the fight hard for me to clear up here. Like, I can't go in there without BKB. And so we get 2 for 2, and I don't have a BKB for the rest of this drawn-out fight. Right when you pick up your BKB, you want to have a huge impact in a fight. I always say, like, Brood has a good time doing damage over time in a fight, but not nearly as much as, like, another hero. And you are kind of reliant on, in terms of going in and like doing your thing, you're relying on BKB cooldown for the most part. So, you know, I mean, even still, like, you're not like super good at it unless you have the CDR talent and like an Octarine. Like, you're not gonna have this up all the time, you know, for instance. So I'm just trying to kill Visage Broods here, but I think we'll see. Troll DCs. I think we pause here. He comes back up. We know we know that he doesn't have Chrono, but our Sven's not here, and I think that's probably the big problem, is our Sven's just not here. So it's like an okay fight. We didn't get as many as we could have, and I think I die here. Yeah, I was so sure they didn't have any sentries over here, but I go back in anyways because I'm fucking stupid. I know I die. I know it. I know it. Where do I die? Do I really not? Do I get a tower for free? I could have sworn I died. They're coming up, right? Yeah, they are. I'm dead. Good. Feels bad. Like I said, though, I just remembered why we lose this game. It's because their Sven doesn't want to group. But that, like I said, that's the problem. If your team isn't all down on board and with the memo, then it becomes significantly harder. And that was what happened in this game. Was we just kind of played without a Sven for a very long period of time, and then when we did have a Sven, it was too late because we were too kiteable, and that sucked. So we take Roche here. No, we don't. But I don't die. Not here, anyways. My team is dying though, and that sucks. And then I die. You can tell I didn't watch this replay too much. Okay, when I was killing, this is for my own devices, I feel like my team really dropped the ball here, I don't know. I was killing their 2 supports in the back. What happened here? How did we lose this battle? What happened to my Sven? Oh, he wasn't even there. That's right, he was the other person with me that got caught. So when this all happened, it was like, yeah. It was like bad news bears. Void's also a really good hero against Brood in general, I've noticed. Void does what you do not want people to do, which is stop you while you're auto-attacking. He does it really well too, I've noticed. You can build Orchid and kind of fuck him up, but he can get Manta very effortlessly. So just in general, I've noticed, you know, steer clear of Void. Maybe I'll make a Brood's counter. Maybe I'll make a these heroes counter Brood guide later eventually, but for now, just keep that in mind. I've noticed Void's pretty good against Brood. Not to say that I wouldn't pick Brood against Void, because Brood has timings against Void. But as the game scales, I notice Void just becomes significantly, like exponentially better against Broodmother. Not at the start though, for sure. Void sucks dick against Brood at the start. And yeah, so kind of from here, it's just kind of an all downhill spectrum here. Is we took all their outer towers, but they're starting to group. They're starting to group. We are not grouping as much for whatever reason, right? We have some pretty good teamfight ultis to play around, but we're just not using them. Kind of felt dangerous there because they have Visage Familiars for Flying Vision, but they didn't use them. And I'm totally down to fight here, right? Like, got BKB, we've got all of our ultis. I'm totally down to fight. Yeah, I knew it. I knew he hooked me. I kill him here. The BKB right here because I felt a little nervous of this guy hitting me. But if we lose this fight, I can't man fight a troll. Not with the Visage ulti, or not with the Solar Crest. Can't man fight him by myself anyways. And he has a lot of ways to disengage. Even I'm finding myself buying Dust because this guy has a Shadow Blade and he's able to just walk out. And this is just kind of like the name of the game here, right? 19-4, but no way to really exploit it from here. Because we just keep taking terrible fights. That fight wasn't even that bad, but we used my resource of BKB and ulti, which isn't that big of a deal, but more importantly, we used Sven's. So like Sven doesn't have a BKB yet. I thought he did. Well, he doesn't have God Strength for a few minutes, for a few seconds rather. I'm like, god damn, we gotta kill this troll, and we did, and it felt so good, and I think he doesn't even have buyback, does he? Yeah, because you can tell. And this is typical like sieging high ground Broodmother stuff. You put the spiders there for vision. They will probably put sentries, but at least you prompt the sentry. That's right, and he ults for this tower. And so we get it, but we don't win the ensuing fight afterwards. Because he's just ulting and hitting towers. So his ulti ran out. I dive a little bit too far. It hasn't run out yet, but he's just hitting Arax with it. Fucks up the blink, and we all get picked off. 3 of us die, we take a ranged Rax, not worth. And yeah, from here it's just a downward spiral. We still could have won the game at that point, but we're just not on the same page is really what it is. We're all doing it. And this is cool. Just Broodmother things right here. Check this out. Walking up, I don't know what happened actually. I got clipped. That's what it was. I got clipped. Look at this. I'm walking up. I get clipped by whirling axes and stuck there. And then I'm like, oh man, come on, dude. Serious? By the time I noticed it was too late, and that just sucked. I even killed this guy too. But what the fuck, Valve? I can't move, they have a sentry, I'm fucked. And this fucking silencer is slamming me. What do you say? Didn't hear Bulldog, Brood always throws. Okay. So he watches Bulldog. That's cool. Yeah, I would say I definitely could have played a lot better this game. I wouldn't say I threw, but I was a factor in my team losing the game. And I was a factor by association. I didn't tell the Sven often enough that we needed to group up and take intelligent fights and siege appropriately. We should not have just waited for things to happen. We should have been the people that were putting things into motion. Brood and Sven both kind of suck with Aegis, because we are both reliant on our one life to do the bulk of our damage. Having 2 lives doesn't really help our heroes, basically. And here they are, man, just doing their thing, ending the game, winning it. Feels bad, man. So anyways, that's kind of Brood Mid in a nutshell. I hope this wasn't too long for anybody that hates my long videos, but I feel like needed to be, and I think most of the information I covered here was pretty relatable, rather, and insightful. I'll take, as always, comments and criticisms down below if you feel like I was wrong in anything. But other than that, try not to keep it too long. So you guys have a great night, and take care. Thank you very much.